Hi dear students, dear friends, welcome to Gallant IAS. Our today's topic is banking system in British India. Banking system in British India. Actually, this is also a potential area which can be asked in our upcoming prelims examination. Also, it can be asked in the mains also. Now here, when it comes to banking system in British India, we go back to 18th century AD. The basic purpose of raising banks in India by British East India Company, of course, it is raising fund for fighting major wars. They were engaged in wars with other Europeans, engaged in war with the Indian princely states. So they have to meet these expenditures, war expenditures. So they had to raise funds. Second, of course, British East India Company mainly came here for trading. They mainly came here for trading. So British East India Company established commercial banks. First, you can start with the Bank of Hindustan, which goes back to 1770s. Yeah, this is in Calcutta. Okay, earliest banking system goes back to 1770s. It was in Calcutta, Bank of Hindustan, and liquidated. It almost wind up by 1830s. 1830s, 32. Wind up. Then you could see that they started banks in 3 presidency towns. Actually, I'm not discussing in detail. We know that Madras presidency they established in this was in 1640. 1640, Bombay was in 1687, and Bengal was in 1690. Okay, Madras 1640, then this Bombay 1687, then Bengal 1690. The 3 major presidency towns of this British East India Company, 3 strong bases of the trade post in India. Okay, so here in all these presidency towns, they established banks also. Bank of Calcutta, which was established in 1806. Bank of Calcutta was in 1806. Bank of Bombay, this was in 1840. Then Bank of Madras, 1843. The 3 major banks. Sometimes they will ask about the chronological rearrangement of this British banking system in British India. That way also they can frame questions in the prelims. So have an idea. 1806 they established a bank in this Calcutta. 1806. Then Bank of Bombay 1840. Then Bank of Madras 1843. Okay. All these acted as these quasi-central banks. Okay, they all acted as the quasi-central banks, and in fact, Calcutta was their major center of administration and commercial activities also. Then these banks had the right to issue notes. Then finally, all these 3 major banks, presidency banks, they amalgamated, and it was formed like Imperial Bank of India. Okay, 1921, all these Calcutta, Madras and Bombay banks amalgamated into a central bank or an Imperial Bank of India 1921, and it was not a nationalized bank. 1921 it was majority of these shares bought by European shareholders only. Now finally this 1921 Imperial Bank of India, it was renamed as State Bank of India, SBI, State Bank of India, and it was nationalized in 1955. It was nationalized in 1955. Okay. Then there is Allahabad Bank, which is in 1865. 1865, this is Allahabad Bank, which is exclusively an Indians owned bank. Okay, exclusively Indian bank. That was Allahabad Bank, and it was one of India's the oldest public sector bank. Okay, that was Allahabad Bank, 1865, exclusively Indian bank. and we studied why it was recently in the news. Then orders to commercial bank, how the commercial bank 1881, Punjab National Bank 1894, headquarters at Lahore, and founder was Lala Lajpat Rai. Okay, Punjab National Bank, it was founded in 1894. People's Bank 1901. Then Swadeshi movements, we have seen that in the beginning of this 20th century, there were Swadeshi movements, okay. So that provided an impetus to Indian entrepreneurs to establish like a Swadeshi, indigenous banks, okay. Then finally it was formation of Reserve Bank of India, RBI, Reserve Bank of India. Yeah, that was a landmark in the history of evolution of banking system during this British India or in British India. Now here you try to understand Hilton and Commission, that was Royal Commission on Indian Currency and Finance. Based on its recommendations, this RBI, Reserve Bank of India, came into existence. Okay, based on the recommendations of this Hilton and Commission, a Royal Commission on this Indian Currency and Finance. So commissions, committees again important for you. They can ask you questions. For example, this commission or committee, whether it is Education Committee, Famine Commission, or it is a Civil Service Commission, or it is a Currency Commission. So different commissions and committees are there which you have to study well. So Hilton and Commission, Royal Commission on this Indian Currency and Finance, based on its recommendations, RBI came into existence. Okay. Then RBI Act was passed, you see, yeah, based on its recommendations, RBI Act was passed in 1934, and that was the statutory basis for this functioning of RBI, okay, and it was constituted on 1st April 1935 with an initial investment of 5 crores. Then Arkell Smith was the first governor of RBI. That also can be a UPSC Prelims question, okay. Arkell Smith was the first governor of RBI. What were the initial functions of this RBI? Take care. Regulating issue of banknotes, maintaining reserve with a view to secure monetary stability, operate credit and currency system of the country to its advantage. Okay, few functions, initial few functions of RBI. Yeah, regulating or regulate to the issue of this bank currency banknotes, maintain reserve with this view to secure monetary stability. Okay, maintaining monetary stability, operate credit and currency system of the country to its advantage. These were some initial functions of RBI. Then we have seen nationalization of this RBI. Yeah. Then some other major milestones in the post-independent India in terms of banking system. Okay, 1949 approving Banking Regulation Act. Just to go through it because these chronology-based questions can be asked in the prelims. Okay, approving Banking Regulation Act. Usually post-independence questions were not asked, but last year we have seen regarding 5-year plans and their objectives, they asked a question. So here 1949 approving Banking Regulation Act. Okay, Banking Regulation Act 1949. 1955 nationalization of State Bank of India. 1959 nationalization of SBI subsidiaries. 1969 nationalization of 14 major banks. We have seen celebration of the 50 years of nationalization of like these major banks of India we celebrated recently. So 1969 marked nationalization of 14 major banks. Then 1975 establishment of regional rural banks. 1980s nationalization of 6 banks with deposits over 200 crores, etc. So we have seen the celebrations we have seen recent. I mean this nationalization of banks and its 50 years completions, etc. we celebrated very recently. So there is a chance that questions can be asked based on pre-independent, post-independent banking system and its evolution. UPSC can ask a question. Okay, so please go through it. This is important for you. Wishing you all the best. If you didn't subscribe the channel, yeah, please do subscribe our channel and stay tuned, and you will get a handful of these quality videos that will help you in your prelims, mains and your optional also. Okay, thank you.